That INnoVation hasn't been able to add to his accolade of many results and awards is he has never been a world champion. And part of the reason why Serral has been a world champion is not only because mechanically, multitasking, everything he has a 10 out of 10 stat in, he also prepares so well for his opponents. No doubt he has watched all of INnoVation's VODs recently from the tournaments. And hopefully, even though I know Inno likes to flex a little bit and not take the foreigners too seriously, it would be suicidal to not prepare for Serral.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody comes in here, even before the tournament begins. I think he's the player who you think about, and you have some idea of some of the tricks you might pull out of that bag if you do face off against him. And definitely something you'll have to keep in mind here. Thinking, of course, about the one series Serral lost in this tournament was to Hurricane, and it was mostly due to his scouting being blocked, especially by Phoenix plays. So obviously a different matchup, but really I feel that Serral, normally his strength is his scouting. The fact that he always sees what's going on and he absolutely respects it. Even though we think of him as a large, kind of long-term macro player, I feel like all the other Zergs end up taking a lot more risks in their play. Serral, if he sees that you're being aggressive, he will 100% adapt and react his play to it. He will, if he feels the need to, stay on a much lower work account, build a lot of army, and really just work around stopping what you want to achieve in the game, rather than going on autopilot. Serral doesn't get caught.
Absolutely is at the moment. Pig is absolutely right. There is a timing here for the Terran with this build, where there are going to be a lot of Marines with medevac support, and you can just fall over and die. But that is something that you would normally say of another Zerg. Serral's scouting usually pretty on key. However, INnoVation's been doing a good job at denying it so far.
The third and fourth gas now going down for Serral as well, working up his tech tree. We are seeing the faster lair and baneling nest variation. This means Serral is going to go for an early baneling speed, allowing him to jump on top of any fast pushers and shut them down. This is a safer way of playing. It does delay his upgrades. So INnoVation going to have a large upgrade lead. To use this correctly, though, Serral is going to need to establish map control and get more creep spread than he would in a normal game. Use the baneling speed to really shut down the early pressures and just cover the map in that infestation.
Confirming the third base here does Serral as the Lynx pull back away from the Hellions. Doesn't want to throw any units away unnecessarily. His double Evo is about to kick in for 1-1. Baneling speed starting as soon as the Lair and Baneling Nest are done. There are the Zerg upgrades kicking in. INnoVation with a well-timed armory as well. His upgrade is going to be looking great if he can keep on that. That's going to finish right when 1-1's done, so the Terran can immediately go into 2-2 upgrades for his bio. And you know what? You were talking about that creep spread. It looks pretty decent at the moment here for Serral.
And I like the non-stop link production right now. Some people would say, why not go to 70, 75 drones, drone up the fourth mineral line? But Serral is looking for map dominance and control. Rather than giving INnoVation an opening and then letting him start to run away with the game, he is in fact just going to focus on having enough units to shut down this first pressure. His creep wants to be completely uninterrupted.
He does have a bunch of Lings moving out onto the map here to attack the third base of INnoVation. He knows about the drop of the Overseer saw it, and Serral is making a lot of units back at home. Good defense from INnoVation, taking very small damage from that Ling.
Double drop moving in on the natural Lings.
Right on 1-1.
Far away at all. Perfectly timed here by INnoVation. But the Lings on top of it shut it down. A few Marines fall. Serral's creep still moving across the map. And that is, of course, the big problem for INnoVation. As this game progresses, we've seen this move towards Terrans trying to drop straight into the mineral lines, and only then off the back foot of that try to rotate around. Right now, though, another push moving down the left-hand side. There's tanks and medevacs over there as well. That's a very scary push moving towards Serral's fourth.
It certainly is, and that's where the creep is the weakest. Speaking of which, INnoVation working on it to the north side here. The north-right side of Serral's creep spread is getting gunned down by his Marines. Baneling's getting a decent connection there on 4 or so Marines, but the left side is the big story. The fourth hatchery of Serral is left wide open.
Counter Baneling drop in position. It's going to hit the third base while this is going down. There's a ton of Zergling, Baneling, Queen here. And I think with only one tank, I think Serral's good to jump on this. He can just take this out.
Oh, he's going for a flank.
Yeah, he's got to be decisive with it, and I like it. Just setting up a flank, always good up against the Terran push, only trickling a few Banelings into it, and now he closes the fist. There we go, quick pick up from Inno, but at the same time, a few SCVs go down at time. Good crisis management from Inno, though. That red hit point medevac could have been sniped by the Queens, but quick reactions as always from the Terran.
Serral has split up his forces. Nice target firing on that single Baneling there of INnoVation, but doesn't quite get the trigger on that other Baneling. His bio being looked at here. INnoVation doing a great job at keeping his forces alive and keeping the medevacs alive as well. A constant thorn in the side here of the Zerg. And even though he did get hit in that mineral line, he is still kicking in. What is the production on these tanks? Are these tanks stuck? Contamination from Serral to get into the tank count. Very nice play there from the Zerg. You don't see that from many Zergs at this level.
Yeah, there's a bug right now with the production overlay where contaminated buildings and depowered structures show up as it building twice until that wears off. So still is just one factory play here for INnoVation, but lots of Marine Marauder production coming in. And the Zerglings looking for a big run by. They do find the wall there. No Banelings with them just yet to bust it down, but they do catch up. The wall's down.
And there's not much left here from INnoVation. Serral knocking on that front door, and he's knocking hard. Bringing in those Banelings. He wants those SCVs. He wants those mules. Small clusters of Marines are not going to be enough. There's some nice connections. Six SCVs go down. The mules as well being pulled off the line. INnoVation's push out on the map being pulled way back, giving Serral a lot more room to breathe.
That one Marauder standing between the depot and the barracks actually survived the entire push there, watching it happen, but unfortunately just couldn't dish out enough damage to do anything about it. INnoVation's whole army got pulled home. In the meantime, Serral's creepers spread across the map. These queens, of course, the backbone of that, quickly get home. Mauling Bane coming in with a backstab once again. Serral on 80 workers. He's built that economy up to the next level. INnoVation still just stuck down on 55.
A lot of Zergs will see this move out from INnoVation and freak out, bring everything back, but Serral knows that he has room to actually grab some lings and send them across the map to hurt the Terran, punish him for moving out the map. And he's going to even grab a tank here with those Banelings and a cluster of Marines. More damage at that third for Serral. Not a ton of SCV kills, but INnoVation's economy nowhere near that 80 drone economy of the Zerg. But this push could potentially start to tip the scales towards the Terran's favor.
He's lost track of that army, only now realizing it's there as the scan goes down. But a great big Zergling attack on the north side. Serral once again setting up a flank on his fourth base. He's got to keep it alive. The third of INnoVation is getting ransacked. He's desperate. INnoVation has to do more damage right now.
Serral wants to send the Banelings in, but a lot of these Marines are off creep. This might actually be a bold maneuver, but Banelings coming in for the north side. Serral with so many more units coming in, I don't know why I doubted him. They come in from the north, from that ramp, smash that Marine count, and he has done way more critical damage to the economy of INnoVation. Can he keep this hatchery alive? The answer is yes.
Yeah, hitting the third base on the north, defending on the south at the same time. A great flank, as always. The creep spread in front of this fourth, almost non-existent. INnoVation is being relentless with this pressure and still maintains an army advantage. But unlike some of his other games, no 3-3 on the way. And he is trailing at just 41 SCVs to 79 drones. The Hive is almost here. Serral on 6 hatchery production, going up to 7 hatchery. Oh, and Lings find the fresh mule drop.
Very frustrating here for INnoVation, splitting his units as best he can. He is off creep. This is the best possible scenario, but there's just too many Banelings, and the right side doesn't even get looked at. INnoVation wiped off the face of the map here by Serral's defenses.
Yeah, just too strong. Serral there, able to swamp those forces. His creep spread here now will be able to resume. He's got too much economy. He's got... I like it when it's really shaky as well, you know? You feel like the ship's under attack almost, or on the bridge. It's always cool, though, here to see a big map like Eternal Empire, because INnoVation, he's shown a lot of bio so far. He's shown some early Raxes a few weeks back, a month ago. It was all about that mech play for INnoVation. It's something he excels at. Took down players like Rogue, just absorbing wave after wave of late game pressure. But if you talk to the EU players, they say the Nidus Swarm host is so good against mech. A lot of the Terran players aren't really doing it. Flip side of that is Serral won't have much practice against it.
That is true. It just feels like one of those things that, you know, the Swarm Host Nidus thing hasn't been dealt with yet, but there is potential for it to be dealt with. You know, even theory crafting, you could just maybe throw in a few more Hellbats, be a little bit more careful about when you move out, or have a certain timing where the Swarm Host Nidus Worm's not going to be as potent, so you can punish the Zerg for making Swarm Host Nidus Worm, because they're not going to have anything back at home, really. There is a lot to work with. It's one of the wonderful things about StarCraft 2 is that the game and the meta just changes organically over time with maps, and just players getting more time to figure things out. So many tools at your disposal in the game. These two gentlemen here in this game, two of the best handymen with those tools.
SCV Scout, they're a queen in the main base, no anti-air. You see, this is the problem. Even though it's been cleaned up, INnoVation has all of the air control. There's no way for the queens to shut down these medevacs.
A queen at the third base there, but you're absolutely right. Serral is dangerously low on queens. He does get rid of that medevac there, but there's another one that's a thorn in his side. INnoVation does have it sort of over the main, but obviously anything there would die pretty quickly to the Roaches. He goes to the natural instead. Serral really can't keep up with his medevac until he gets a queen out. A big round of drones there, getting very deep in the red. INnoVation gets 3 of them.
And he needs this damage as well. All this lost mining time is very important for INnoVation to really slow down Serral. He's just started his 3rd command center. A big swing in of Blue Flame Aliens, but the drones are evacuated well ahead of time. Serral so low on workers.
And he's not out of the woods yet. That medevac coming back, and the main is looking real naked here. Some Roaches, but not enough to stop that drone damage. Or they just trickle out to the right side, but 5 go down. This kind of damage is really critical here. INnoVation in a really good spot.
He's got to defend the main in the natural. Serral right now keeps prioritizing his 3rd, a little bit shaken off this crazy start, this aggression here.
Oh, no. INnoVation. He's absolutely everywhere, pew-pewing down drones one at a time. Serral's going for the Nidus Worm here. He doesn't feel like there's a macro game in this for him.
Yeah, that's the right call. I really like that call. He realizes at this point, okay, this is not working out. My economy is so bad right now. I've got to do something desperate. He's building 7 more drones, and behind that will no doubt be non-stop Roaches. I think even with that, there is already 5 barracks marine production on the way for INnoVation. He's building tanks, and I don't know if Serral has a window.
I don't think so either. He's going to try and get it done anyway. Every win is extremely important here.
Yeah, the window might be closed. Serral's going to take a go at smashing it anyway. I really don't think this has got a great chance to do it.
There's a tank out for INnoVation. This just doesn't look good at all. Obviously, Serral, you have to try, but it does not look good. Drop in the main base, just making bad things worse here for Serral. INnoVation looking incredible to tie up the series.
Such a cute build here. I love this mix-up from INnoVation. Scouted just a bit too late there by Serral. He's going to try and come forward with the Roach Ravager. 2 tanks, a bunker, Marines, Hellions with Blue Flame, SCVs pulled to the front as well. The Ravagers there unable to land the Biles because a quick unsiege and dodge there from INnoVation.
This is just GG, and there it is. Serral taps out. INnoVation.
Yeah, same as map number 1 here. Single gas straight into that. You know, it got him into a decent position in that game. I don't think the opening was wrong. Serral looked very good at how he controlled it. Different map, different game. We'll see how it plays out here. And of course, keeping eyes on Serral. Now, if INnoVation chooses to go for more of a Widowmine style versus the Lingbane, great versus Mass Lingbane, especially versus Mutas as well, right? But not so good against Hydras. And Serral, he did showcase some fantastic Hydra usage in the group stage. Really shut down some players with that. And is definitely someone who's shown kind of an ability, this cool push and pull, right? Where it's like, go faster Bane speed, get more creep spread because you got more control, or go the faster upgrades and don't have as much control, but of course, you know, you can actually match the Terran in the upgrades that way.
1-1 on the way here for the Zerg, but of course, just like game 1, the Terran a lot further along in that regard. And INnoVation is taking his time to amass those units. Without the medevacs, you really don't want to go across the map, but it does time out so nicely with 1-1. Armory again, well timed for INnoVation. Overseer with Overlord speed. This one's hard to stim down, as INnoVation has been stimming down a few Overlords in this game. Overseer is basically a jet plane. It gets on out of there.
The speed Overseer is so fast. And we already see 8 Banelings on that production tab, just 63 drones, so 64 drones, not just the flat 60 this time. Serral went just 4 workers higher than map number 1, but still, look at that production tab. Lots of Zerglings, lots of Banelings, but a Hydra Den added to it. And I think he's 1 gas higher. It looks like 5 gas Hydra Lingbane as opposed to 4 gas just Lingbane. Serral's not going to have as many units to get on top of these first pushes.
You're absolutely right. And also, if INnoVation continues to get 2 factory tank out, he's going to have a better composition against what Serral had in game 1. Big links around here. INnoVation just not enough units, has to pull back. But of course, there are going to be a lot more Marines where that came from, and the factory units are going to come for a walk as well.
Already 10 more drones in production here for Serral. He's definitely going to be playing on the edge of greed a little bit more. And remember what happened last time. Tank and a medevac, bunch of Hellbats morphing, and a ton more Marines coming across the map. I guess the problem this time is with that creep spread, which base do you push for? Is it going to be the bottom or the top? Looks like the Southern Army is going to push down there, creep clearing squad on the north.
Yeah, it looks like it. Haven't any scans from INnoVation. This south one, there it is. So he's going to get a bunch of these creep tumors down. Hasn't got the active one in the front just yet, though. Yeah, there he goes. He grabs it. So the Queen's going to get to work back up here. Meanwhile, this base, Serral's got a lot of Banelings here. INnoVation's army doesn't look big enough to fight back.
Indeed. He's got to spread that creep back immediately, and Serral is he's on top of it. Really is doing a good job. That creep continuing to spread on both the south and the north. Up on 78 workers, 2-2 started. Hydras in production. Serral in control of this game.
He is off creep here, but he could potentially ambush those Marines while INnoVation's not looking. Quick hot pick up there from the Terran. Both actually, INnoVation sees the Zerg army, and he's like, yeah, all right, come and fight. I'm going to pick up a unit and get on out of here. Doing small chip damage wherever he can, as Serral continues to get more and more units, this time throwing in a few more Hydras. He's been making them for a few seconds here.
8 barracks are up and running now. Concussive shells, 2-2 getting close to finish. The tank count continues to go. Remember, INnoVation has not lost any tanks this game. He's really preserved that count. And they are very important against the Hydra Bane composition.
Inno's in the main, which looks spicy, but unfortunately there is a lot of Zerg here for him, so he's not going to actually do too much in the main, just putting in a few hit points off of that extractor. Couple Lings went down. Serral holding that Z button, get way more Lings out here as he amasses more and more resources. It is 2-2 on the way here for the Zerg, still on Lair Tech. And a little bit behind in upgrades, but not too far behind on the Terran.
2-2's almost finished. Oh, very nice catch. And can leave a few Hydras on the end there to dissuade any future drops. This right now, we've seen the tank count grow. It looks like only 4 tanks right there on our screen, though. Not that many. Normally you'd want 5 or 6 here with 2 finishing. It's a good army, though. Lots of Marines and Marauders, and a lot more rallying across. So many barracks, and you can see 2 Marauders building at a time. So that's going to add a lot more tankiness to this. These early Marauders added to the composition.
And there's a lot of map without creep on it for INnoVation to maneuver around here. Obviously, he has to scan and get rid of this stuff in the high ground. Looks like where Serral potentially wants to take an expansion, but he is there. He's going to let the INnoVation take this ground for now. Doesn't want to take a bad trade. The rest of his army coming for the middle of the map. And he doesn't want to send everything up there because he's smelling like INnoVation's going to try and go for a multi-prong attack. But really, INnoVation's just hitting really hard here from the north.
Oh, he's going to go for a big run by his Serral. Banes and Zerglings running into that base. He gives up his 4th, but he does have a new base on the bottom side that he can transfer to. This trade for INnoVation going not too bad to start off, though. He's really holding the line as well as he can with such a small number of units. Serral going to jump on this army on the front.
And he's trying to. The Baneling's getting dodged here by a lot of the Marines, but a good connection in the last second there on the Marines of INnoVation. Gets a lot of the wind knocked out of his sails, but INnoVation's got so many barracks. He can make a lot more bio here, replenish those forces. 11 Marines in production at a time here with a Marauder and a tank as well. Hive just starting now for Serral at the 10-minute mark. He did lose that hatchery, but he keep in mind he does have that 4th at the bottom left, which he expanded to about a minute and a bit ago.
INnoVation lost one of his barracks, so he's replacing it. He's adding +3 attack, but nothing else but non-stop production. It's all about rallying across this map and trying to win. At just 58 SCVs, INnoVation is rebuilding none of them.
Oh, this medevac's actually not got a lot of dead space. Serral might be able to pick off a full one, and he does! Nice pick off there for Serral.
And at the same time, on the south, is he going to get a tank? No! Great hot pick up there, does save the tank, but INnoVation, remember with this style, once you lose your first round of tanks, you can't replace them very quickly. It's just one at a time. So it's all about being able to just drain down the Zerg, and your bio needs to be what overwhelms at the end of this. And Serral, he hasn't let that really happen just yet. Whilst there's some dents in his creep, he is still holding strong.
The lack of dead space at the edge of these maps making things really hairy for these medevacs, but INnoVation does escape this time. Trades with the Lings there to the north side, nearly loses another medevac. I mean, that's the thing, because INnoVation is so committed to bio here in 3-3 and pressure. If he's losing medevacs, you start to just look as weak as paper here. Paper and rain, man, you just fall apart.
Yeah, paper mache planes once the Hydras start to focus on those medevacs. Hydras and Banes here falling back in the northern side. These Marines here, they do a little bit of focus fire. INnoVation, he's looking to stress Serral. He's looking to find these openings. But Serral, he's got Vipers on the way, Adrenal Glands, +3 Carapace, and he's still got a large army here in the south. 2 tanks, a large pack of Marines. He is on creep right now. Serral's going to dive for it. Very few Zerglings. It's almost purely Banelings and Hydras.
I think there was an overextension from Serral, and INnoVation knows it, bringing in the rest of the Marines here to try and get damage on that hatchery and take it down before the Banelings get remade. A medevac getting caught there, a handful of Marines hitting those Banelings, and that is a hatchery pick-off. Nice pick-off there for INnoVation. Serral's double expanded to the north of the map, though. INnoVation's on 3 base, and Serral just won't be on less than 4, no matter what.
This is how you stop this style. Whenever it wants to fight you, it's desperate. It's 8 barracks. It doesn't have a 4th command center. INnoVation needs to fight you right now. And Serral says, okay, if that's what you want, that's not what I'm going to give you. 2 times now, he's given up the bases on one side and re-expanded to the other. As long as he keeps the workers alive and transfers them, and he avoids fighting at the bad moments, it's going to be good for Serral. He is playing around INnoVation style, recognizing that INnoVation, the reason he's able to create this much bio is because he is committing everything. He is throwing all of his eggs into this basket, and once we see Vipers hit the field, the tanks become bad. Once Ultras hit the field, the Marines aren't going to be very useful. As these upgrades clock over, Serral is just hanging on, growing his Baneling count, and becoming more and more untouchable.
This is the moment for INnoVation. 3-3, about to finish here for these Bio. And like Pig mentioned, he's on 3 bases. There's a fourth to the south, but INnoVation just doesn't have much of an economy at the moment. He's going to try and push forward. Speaking of that economy, a counterattack here from Serral with the legs getting on top of these SCVs. The orbital has to be lifted if he wants any chance to continue mine. That's actually the main base from INnoVation. So his dire economic situation getting worse here with that run by.
Yeah, he's all in at this point. INnoVation is never building another command center in this game. And a big surround!
Serral from every angle, blinding clouds on the tank, and he pushes everything back from INnoVation, plucking the medevacs from the sky with the Hydralisks. An absolutely beautiful cleanup.
Wow, that was incredible. Such good blinding clouds, and INnoVation distracted by the backstab on the south side. He let his tanks get a bit too clumped up there. The tanks were looking so deadly against those clumped up banelings, but with them taken out of the equation, Serral's fight was so efficient.
Really nice splits from INnoVation against the banelings here off Creeper. Here comes the rest of the Zerg from the north side. Not many tanks in this army at all from INnoVation, so these Hydras are quite scary. In come the Vipers as well. Banelings connecting again. Serral is absolutely all over INnoVation right now in game 3. And the Vipers with the Hydras and the Banes are going to excuse INnoVation from this map.
Yeah, this was beautiful play by Serral, refusing to take the bad fights, patience in the face of utter destruction, and willingness to give up ground to take the better fight later. Serral there just showing so much patience and poise under pressure.
A bit dejected there after game number 3. He is so good at this video game. I know he's had his thoughts about TVZ before. He's been very vocal about it, legendarily telling Guri and GSL that he can't beat Zerg while sporting an 80% win rate in the matchup at the studio. He has thoughts. He's an opinionated gentleman, but he absolutely has the skills to take this to the ace match, potentially even beat Serral. But it's such a daunting task.
I think that the trap that could be a bit too easy to fall into here for INnoVation is, you know, sticking to that 8 barracks play. I think it is something which is so powerful and so pointed, but it is essentially, you know, unable to deal with the maneuverability of a clever Zerg player like Serral. It's not just the giving up the bases, it's the backstabs as well, right? We saw it on Ephemeron, and we saw it here as well. The ability for Ling Bane to smash into his third base as he's moving out always seems to disrupt and just throw off this push, cleans up the reinforcement a lot more efficiently. And because it doesn't have the flexibility, I think at this point INnoVation needs to scrap that game plan and try something else for the mid to late game. Now, whether that's more wild proxy builds like that win that he got, or if it's just, you know, take a 4th command center, try to get up to Liberators or double factory siege tank or something else. I think there has to be a variation in here because Serral is starting to look comfortable against that.
Yeah, I mean, Serral's been comfortable, but he's also been really respecting INnoVation. You know, INnoVation's been respecting him as well with SCV scouts at the start of the game, not cutting too many corners. Serral's been getting Overlord speed to respect INnoVation as well. It's a big investment, you know, it was 75 for a moment, back up as an expensive upgrade again, but it does, you know, it slows down your tech, but it makes you feel so much safer against a Terran that can be quite tricky.
Absolutely. Reaper comes in, starts to hit those drones. Zerglings are just kind of veering around, looking for the surround now at this point. INnoVation, of course, has gone quite deep. That Queen is about to pop out and does leave just in time. Reaper attacks unpaid here for Serral. Good micro, saving the day, as it often does. And with a quick third base down, uninterrupted, his opening very smooth, very calm, and yeah, I also wonder if there is, you know, something INnoVation could mix in here with like a block on that third base or something like that. Lots of variations, of course. For now, 3rd command center very quickly going down here on the high ground. For all intents and purposes, it looks like the exact same build. I mean, this is a great map for it. And perhaps this is just what he really has faith in, and he maybe just has to kind of watch out for the backstabs a bit better, maybe be a little bit more prepared for those counterattacks.
Yeah, Nightshade is a little bit, you know, it's got a similar sort of distance, but it's got a little bit less just wide open area like Simulacrum does, where the Zergs really have that edge in an engagement. We're actually seeing a Roach Warren out of Serral here. Normally in his games, he's just been going Ling Baneling, so this is a difference in build for the Zerg. INnoVation's build so far looking extremely similar.
Yeah, 2 Overlords queuing up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more here from Serral. A Ravager Ling, you know, you're up 2-1. Your opponent might try to get tricky. Sometimes just building a whole ton of Ravagers is the best way to make sure they don't get away with anything sneaky. It's also been a 3rd command center incredibly early every game. This is one of the most economic builds. And you know what? Single Queen comes down. You've got to, I think, around the next Hellion poke, if you keep seeing signs of minimal defense, hey, why are there so few queens here? Just one, okay, now two, still not that many queens, still haven't seen any drones on the third base. You've got to start to kind of get an idea of what's going on here, but INnoVation hasn't seen any clear signs of it just yet, and I'm worried he's not going to get a read.
I'm with you there. Or in fact, the Hellion's getting surrounded a little bit, taking a little bit of damage, so they get muscled back while the Roaches rally through the map. Still unscouted here.
Oh no,
oh, INnoVation's got no idea. He's starting barracks and stim. Oh, INnoVation. More Hellions heading through the middle of the map. These ones are going to see the Roaches, or rather the Ravager Cocoons, as they move up.
Here we go.
Got a bunker on the way here. He needs this bunker.
He's got to get to the high ground right now. Abandon the low ground. Get rid of that bunker and get to the high ground, INnoVation. There is no way you will hold down here on the low ground.
He's going to try, but it doesn't look good. Starting up bunkers, but right in the faces of Roaches. A questionable decision from INnoVation. He's dropping that Viking for extra DPS. The Ravagers, though, can just keep piling down these bunkers. The SCV's been pulled off the line, but the links from Cyril here are going to make sure anything that goes forward is going to be nibbled to pieces.
There's just no damage output. The tank and the Liberator are on the way. They're not quite there. The depots aren't even raised in time, and Cyril is inside the main base. A crisp timing attack here. INnoVation's fast third command to punish brutally.
And down goes Stim, and down goes INnoVation. Ain't the first time we've seen that cheeky grin turned upside down by the Korean Terran as Cyril eliminates him from Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020, securing himself a spot in the semi-finals.